I'm Michelle with Family of Flair, and I'm coming to you again from the kitchen today, and I'm so excited because I am going to be working on a couple more of my recipes for my stress-free Thanksgiving. I'm working on some more of those recipes that can be made up and put in the freezer so that all I have to do is thaw them out and heat them up on Thanksgiving Day. So the recipes that we're going to be doing today are going to be the broccoli cheese casserole, which is one of my family's favorites. And I'm also going to be doing some prep for our dressing that I'm going to be cooking too, that's going to go in the freezer. But today I'm just going to kind of be doing some prep on it, and then I'll do that recipe at another time. So today, let's get started on the broccoli casserole. And just to kind of save time, what I've done is I already have some things like out of the cans and things prepared ahead of time to just make this go a little bit faster. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we have 2 cans. Because I'm doubling this recipe, it actually calls for 1, but for our family, I'm going to go ahead and double this. And I've got 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup, and I already have it out of the can. So I'm just going to put this in the bowl. That's one great thing about this recipe, is that you just basically just dump everything in there. We're going to add in 2 cups of uncooked rice. So we're just going to pour that in there. Now, this next ingredient, please don't judge. This is Cheese Whiz. Yes, I know, this is so bad, but twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, this is how we roll. This is what we do. We add the Cheese Whiz into the casserole and we eat it. So, don't judge, but yes, I just dumped 16 ounces of Cheese Whiz in this bowl. Okay, so now we're going to add, it calls for chopped up onion. So what I did was I already have half of the onion chopped up. I'm going to do the other half on the camera because, you know, sometimes we take for granted that everybody knows how to chop up an onion. So I thought I would just take the time to kind of show you how I do it, and then you can use the same technique, or you can just pick up what you like or what works for you, and maybe it will help you in chopping up your onions. You know, most people, that's not a favorite thing to do, is chop up onions, because no matter how hard we try, we cry. It makes our eyes water. So this is pretty fast and easy, pretty harmless, the way here that I do it. So like I said, just showing you that you can take the pieces that work for you and use them, and then you may have your own way that's great, and so just stick with what you're already doing. So we put in the onion, and now I'm going to what I like to do is it just calls for chopped broccoli, frozen chopped broccoli that's been thawed. But what I like to do is I like to put it on my board, okay? Because you see how some of these are really big? I don't like them to be that big. So what I try to do is I'll just take my knife and run it through there, okay? So that I can just give that, you know, you don't want it to be fine either. You know, you want it to be where you know that it's broccoli that you're eating. It's not just a mush, because it will get soft as it cooks. But I just don't like them to all be so big. So I like to pour mine out instead of just dumping it all in there. Pour it out, and then I like to give it a good chop before I add it in to my dish. A little bit of salt and pepper to this. Also, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder. Now we're just going to stir this up really good. And there again, like I said, I have doubled this recipe. And there's probably going to be like 9 of us, but we have a ton left on Thanksgiving Day, but we like it that way. We like to have enough food left for like hanging out over the weekend. We don't have to worry about cooking. We can just heat up what we have left from Thanksgiving Day. So you don't have to make this much, or if you're having an army coming to your house, you might want to triple it or quadruple it. That's all just depends on what you need for you and your house. I am preparing this to put in the freezer. So we're not gonna completely finish it off like we would if we were cooking this to serve it. Because I already have a pan. I put it in an aluminum foil pan so I don't have to clean it up. I can just throw it away. And I've already sprayed it with some cooking spray. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna pour it into the pan. Just come back and take the back of your spoon and just kind of flatten that down. Now what you're also going to do is you're going to freeze this so the day that you thawed out and when you put it in the oven to reheat it, you're going to go ahead and let it cook for about, you know, a good probably, if it's already thawed, probably I'd say 30 minutes or so. And as you see it start to bubble up around the edges, you know it's starting to get warm. So you want to take your shredded cheddar cheese and you're going to put shredded cheddar cheese on the top of this. And then you're going to put it back in the oven and you're going to let that completely melt. You want to have it good and melted. But you don't want to put it on before your casserole is good and warm, or your cheese is going to burn and your casserole is still going to be cold in the middle. So even if you need to, take a little spoon and dip you out a little bit to test it and make sure it's good and warm, almost hot before you put your cheese on, because it's not going to take long for the cheese to melt. But that is how simple that is. Ready to be wrapped in cellophane, wrapped in foil, put in the freezer, bring it out the day before or the day of. And there's your broccoli casserole. Okay, now we have this all mixed up and in the pan, and it's ready to go into a 350-degree oven. And you don't want to cook it completely done today because we are getting this ready to freeze it. So we're going to cook it for probably about 25 minutes or so. Just kind of look at it. You can tell if it's getting close to being done, but not quite done. So probably about 20-25 minutes depending on your oven, and then you're going to take it out. You're going to let it cool completely. Then you're going to wrap it with saran wrap and then foil, and it will be ready for the freezer. And then the day of Thanksgiving, well, the day before, you're going to pull it out, put it in your fridge, let it thaw, and then throw it in the oven the day of Thanksgiving. Heat it up. You want it to be good and warm, like almost hot. Then you'll add your shredded cheddar cheese to this and put it back in the oven and let it melt completely, and it's ready. So that is how easy that is. Okay, so now we're going to get started on our cornbread. What I like to do for my cornbread is I always will take my egg, put it in my bowl first because I like to beat this a little bit. If you will take and with a whisk and you will just whisk that a little bit and get some air into that egg, it's going to cause your cornbread to be a lot lighter and fluffier. So I like to whisk it a little bit before I get all the ingredients in there. And now we have 1/4 cup of canola oil. I'm going to add that in there. And I'm not making this exactly like I make my regular cornbread because I'm making this cornbread for my dressing. You have to make it, and then like for at least a day or so, I'm going to break it all up in a bowl and let it set out to where it can dry out and get rid of all that moisture that's in it. So here I have 2 cups of cornmeal. It's actually like a cornmeal mix. I have 2 cups of cornmeal in here that I'm going to add to. Oh Lord, that was a blooper. Be careful how you add that because you might make a mess just like I did. 2 cups of cornmeal, added that in. This is just for 1 pan of cornbread. Now I'm going to add 1 1/3 cups of milk, and just to let y'all know, in case you can tell, I don't know how this really looks on the camera, but you can tell, I can tell by looking at it, it's not really milk, like real milk. I didn't have any milk, so I really need to make the cornbread today, and I didn't have time to run to the store. But that's why we keep staples in our kitchen. Like this was a staple that my grandmother taught me, never be without this. Always have a can of this, at least one, in your kitchen. Why, you say? Because I ran out of milk today, and I'm just doing this cornbread for the dressing. So all you have to do is pour some evaporated milk in there, and then you're gonna add a little bit of water to dilute it some, and then voila. You've got milk. It'll get you through till you can get to the grocery store. And like I said, this is just for our dressing, so no one, unless they watch this video, will know the difference. We've got oil, we've got milk, we've got our egg in there, we've got our cornmeal. So now we're gonna whisk this up, and just to let you know, I already have, my oven has been preheated to 450 degrees, and I have my skillet in the oven, and it's preheating, because that's a key to good cornbread with a good crisp bottom, is that you want to preheat your skillet in the oven before you put your mix in it. So I'm just gonna mix that up. Now I have a little bit of oil you can see in the skillet. I've been letting that preheat in the oven. And now be very, very careful. This pan is very hot. The oil is very hot. And when you put your mix in there, it could pop and bubble and splatter out a little bit. So you want to be very careful when you are dealing with this cast iron skillet filled with this hot oil. So as you can see those sizzles. That's what you want. You want it to sizzle like that when you put your mixture in. So we're gonna pour our cornbread mixture in here. And now we're gonna take it and we're gonna put it back in the oven. And it's gonna cook for about 20 minutes. Now, I don't know about all of you, but if you heard that timer going off, I have to set a timer. Everything I cooked would be burnt if I did not set a timer. Y'all might be better about it than me, but that's just me. So I did set our timer for 20 minutes, and then I was also going to show you this. I've just taken a few pieces of bread here, and I've already toasted them. Okay, I put them in there, toasted both sides, and I'm just going to let these sit out, just like sit on the counter today, because there again, we want all the moisture to draw out of these. Because I'm going to put some of this into my dressing too. My dressing is a mixture, and it's actually my mom's, and it is delicious, her recipe. But we put cornbread, but we also put a little bit of bread, just kind of pulsed up and crushed up in there. So got this on the counter drying. When the cornbread comes out, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to put it in a bowl, break it up, and let that dry out, and then it'll probably be ready by tomorrow to whip up the dressing. And then that'll be another one I can check off my list that will be sitting in the freezer just waiting for me to reheat it.